The next speaker is a living book of the so-called fine dining scene of the past 3 decades. He's an incredible man, and his knowledge is just outstanding. It's mind-boggling, really, to talk to him about food, restaurants, and the evolution of that. He knows just about anything. For many years, he was a talent scout. Believe it or not, such a thing has existed for a leading European, even world magazine called the Gambero Rosso. And there, he traveled the world to find the next great chef or the next great restaurant, the next great mouthful. So when you talk to him, he will tell you when Pierre was 23 years old and, you know, cooking in Saint-Etienne and et cetera, et cetera. There isn't a restaurant worth eating at that he hasn't been to many times. And for some strange reason, he also found himself in Copenhagen 3 months after our restaurant was open. I can remember I was totally blown away that this man, this total, gourmet that traveled everywhere and had, on speed dial every single of the world's top chefs, that he suddenly was there. But he figures that out. That's what Andrea does. And he can also do a lot of good things for you. He's truly a chef's man, and he is brilliant. And I'm sure that most of you chefs who knows him in here has the utmost respect for him. I do. And he's here today to talk about memory. Please welcome to the stage Andrea Petrini.
I like this tune. I like it very much because it's a perfect pop song by a perfect British pop song. I love it because it's clean, because it's very clear. You can give it just a couple of beats, you can give it a couple of measures, and then you can read it like an open book. No secrets, no mysteries. It turns its guts upside down. Listen to the airy melodics like Ray Davies with the Kings. And when the bass is playing, it sounds like Pete Townsend swirling his guitar in Baba O'Reilly, fast track side A of Who's Next, circa 1971. Listen to the echoing, the floppy harmonies of the Velvet Underground. It seems that even Nico, the singer, she might be singing there. Now, please, jump ahead. Say, go 20 years later, early 90s. Do you feel the showgazing, the rock showgazing? Do you copy the feedbacking tapestries of the guitar of bands like My Bloody Valentine and the liquid vocals like Dripping Honey of Jesus and the Mary Chain and their song Just Like Candy? One can even feel the flapping, slow-down bass lines in his guts. It sounds a bit like Angelo Badalamenti, the composer who makes this music for David Lynch. And Julie Cruz, the singer, might be moaning in the dark right now. Welcome to Twin Peaks. Welcome to the Lost Information Highway Overload. This song, for me, is a collision of multiple possible worlds, a crash, an information overload, synthesized into just one perfect word, one perfect song. A whole universe, a whole story, unfold in 3 minutes and 53 seconds. Now, let's imagine this song is a dish. How can it be as transparent as this song? How can a dish be as readable, as catchy, as immediate as only a catchy song can be? How can it tell? How can a dish tell its multiple story? How can it digress at ease without losing the narrative drive? Who knows? Let's call it the mysteries of creation. But please, don't forget, behind the mysteries always lays the memory. Even if talking about memories, it seems to me that one thing our time is definitely losing is our remembering of things of time past. Our memories are vanishing, gone from the stoves and from the libraries, and twice a day, gone from the restaurants too. Anyway, we seem to live with that. We seem to do like nothing had ever happened. Things go fast, they get accelerating every day, faster and faster. They even break the frontier of sound. We rush, every day, we rush into the future. And we believe in the kitchen, outside, in everyday life, we believe that the future is in front of us. Maybe, I don't know. Because it seems to me that we forget what the Chinese wise guys always said. Future doesn't stretch in front of us. It's not something that's in front of me, in front of you, something frontal. The Chinese think that future comes instead from behind us, from the back, from our back. Future comes like clouds, like a fog falling down. And in a world without memory, yesterday's heroes are today's unknown soldiers. We erase, day by day, all bits of our collective memory. We believe our agenda to be kind of a blank book. You open your book, and then you fill it with notes to scribble down, with experience at the present, written at the present time. Of course, we like speed. We like the kick of the adrenaline. Speed in a kitchen, like in our daily life, we get high on that. But when we run too fast, nothing really moves. Nothing really changes around us, I think. And we might not even notice what has happened to us. We run too fast. For example, I do not remember who I was when I started writing this story. It goes so fast, it's just a blink of an eye. Take the French. They thought their future was their past, already set once and for all in front of them. Where are they now? Where are the French? I might be exaggerating a little bit, but it seems to me they are nearly as extinct as the Aztecs, and they just left us with a few pyramids as a relic, as a gift, as a souvenir, un bon souvenir. Memory serves, but memory sleeps, and memory lapses. For example, let's be practical. I do not remember last time I tasted the bears. The bears is a wild plant, usually picked up in the Alps. Probably the last time I tasted la berce, I don't know the name in English, sorry, Is David Toutain around here? David Toutain? No. But anyway, you understand why. Probably the last time I tasted La Berce was at Marc Verrat, in one of these restaurants years ago, 5, 6, 7 years ago. And I love these leaves. They have a bitter, intense taste with a clear insight of agrumes. And then, all of a sudden, La Berce disappeared from my plate, from my palate, from the kitchen, and for years and years. Then last December, I found it back, pretty far from the Alps, where it usually grows. And it was in Paris, at David Toutain restaurant, a restaurant called L'Agapé Substance, run by a young pupil of the old master, Marc Verrat. There she was again, La Berce, like a newborn girl. But it seems to be that nobody, none of the clients, none of the food critics seemed to recognize the Berce from before, but everybody seemed to love it and seemed to discover it, like a virgin, a new Madonna. It took 5 or 6 or 7 years to completely disappear from the restaurants and then to reblossom again, like a cycle. Some may call it a miracle, like it never had existed before. Continents glide, it's worldwide known, but also complete whole regions of our memories disappear from our atlas. Talking about these parecidos, talking about Verrat, how long did it take from the closing down of his 2 restaurants at the zenith of his fame, restaurants that were in Migiva and in Annecy, how long did it take for him to slip away from the records, to be almost forgotten by all? And now he's coming back from the past, our recent past, like a kind of ghost, because he's going to open a new restaurant. Memory fails. Yesterday's heroes are kind of today's TV stars. One wonders when Marco Pierre White stopped being a chief. And Marco Pierre White is the chef who, before René, before Andoni, before Chang San, before Grant Echatz, before Atala, he was the guy that started the whole thing. The chef who stood by the idea that being a chef doesn't mean just being a cook. It seems obvious to me, but it was not at the time. Marco Pierre White was the one who opened the doors of his restaurant, who took society by the storm, and he was the first one who occupied the front pages. The first media darling. We are talking the end of the 80s. The guy who 10 years before, say, Creative Commons, you know, Creative Commons, this kind of thing which is on internet when you agree that your work, it might be an essay, a study, a scientific study, when you publish it, you give it to the public, and if someone wants to work on your study, wants to add things, to correct things, want to do an extension of your work, he can do that with no copyright. So Marco Pierre White was the guy who 10 years in advance on Creative Commons, on Gorillaz, the rock band, and on Genillians, was the first one who literally stole his mentor's recipes. He went to very famous French chefs in those days. He stole their recipes and made them his own, kind of improving a fixed repertoire that was never meant to be improved. He was, to me, a punk rocker who never turned a new waver. Maybe Marco Pierre White might vote now for the Conservative Party. He might also do the Knorr Cube ad, but without him, we would have had no modern British cooking, no Gordon Ramsay, no Aston Blumenthal, no Tom Aikens, no Marcus Waring, nor Fergus, nor Trevor, hi Fergus, hi Trevor, nor Claude Bosi, no Jason Atherton, no Brett Graham, no Michael Johnson, no Nuno Mendes, no Jan Tarks, no Ali Kurshat Altinsoy somewhere, and probably no Chevalier in a chi ha ispitarte. And I know that in the bleakest hours of the night, Di Chang-san, he might ask himself, where can I find a cook with guts, with passion as Marco Pierre-White in the old days? And I wouldn't be here today myself had I not stumbled in December '89 in Marco Pierre-White, the man who kind of changed my life and incidentally pushed me doing what I keep doing, telling and writing true stories. And it looks like an old Frank Capra's movie, It's a Beautiful Life. What if Marco Pierre-White had never existed? Will we all be here today? What if Ferran Adrià had not taken over the small country restaurant on top of the hill of Rosas? Will we be here today? Where René Redzepi will be, and Massimo Bottura, and myself too, had I not had beaten on a 94-95 dinner at El Bulli, my first dinner at the Bulli, by the strangest menu ever, by its textures, by the crispy, floppy quail eggs. I remember that dinner for me was like entry into Blue Velvet, the movie. And that was kind of nearly 20 years ago. Now Ferran, like Marc Verrat, has closed his premises and is getting ready, like Verrat, to come back with his own foundation. You can stay away too long. You might risk to miss your train. And there's always a new train leaving. So now, please try to imagine this story. Imagine a young chef, an European chef, who left Europe, say, 10 years ago, when Ferran and Marco were at the highest in their initial careers. This chef might have gone at the other end of the world, leaving the old one to its techniques, its poetics, its memories, its roots, whatever. And now he might have come back a few years later, say, a couple of years ago. He might have come back and find the world completely changed. Despite the net, despite the tweets, despite ether.com and all the blogs, he would find himself in Europe in a completely changed world. The old idols are gone and not back again. He might have missed the social, the economic changes, the euro crisis. He might have missed also a lot of things. The end of the hegemony of technique in the kitchens, the extinction of the French colonialism, the rise and fall like Ziggy Stardust of the Spanish cuisine from Marche. The Italians always at the starting blocks and always beaten 4-0. Then, of course, he might also have missed the blossoming of the Nordic cuisine. But this young chef, this hypothetical young chef, might have also have missed a change of the status of the chef. Not just a cook, not just an author, not just an interpreter of his country, of his land, of his raw materials, the raw materials of the region where he works. But now the chef has become also a moral figure, a social promoter, a vector for social change. Think of Massimo Bottura, what he did yesterday. Think of René Redzepi. Think of Gaston Acurio in Peru, and many, many other smart guys. Willingly or not, a chef enters now in the political auditorium. It goes to symposium like this mad one. there's a lot of responsibility, a lot of weight on his shoulders. And that's a lot of responsibility for just one shoulder. But between the two of us, I like the idea of a responsibility because it whips our appetite for knowledge. Responsibility feeds the memory. And for me, without memory, there is no lasting appetite. I've called this speech, this friendly speech, Cosmopolis Redux, because in this way it is a tribute to a fantastic book, also recently made into a major motion picture, Cosmopolis. In the original book, Cosmopolis, Don DeLillo, the writer, imagines the strange day of a trader, a Wall Street shark, trying to reach the other end of New York just to go to the hairdresser, just for an haircut. But this trader, this young trader, is stuck in a gigantic traffic jam. So he spends all his days, all his day, from morning to night, blocked, stuck inside his car, while outside the whole world goes awok. Don DeLillo's writing is extremely dry, abstract, conceptual, and still it has a sort of narrative drive. And it is very, very interesting that this young trader, a young wolf, a master of Wall Street, a master of the world, that he has inside his car all the technology to control it, to control the world. He has got computer, simulation screens, and TVs connected to the Dow Jones. But it is too late. 9/11 has kind of happened. There are riots in the street, occupy everything. The world is falling apart. Technology doesn't help anymore to control the situation. It doesn't help anymore to control the information. The apocalypse is coming. Okay, that's a great spectacle, the ultimate show. And we can enjoy it through the windows of his car, of our car. He stays put, and outside, the world flows by like a kind of a vision. And it's a beautiful vision indeed. He is stuck in the car, and the world flows by like in slow motion. And let's make this very clear. I'm not opposing slow and fast. I love fast food, and yes, I do. I love fast culture, pulp culture, B-movies, and like Massimo Bottura, I also love horror movies. So, if you may think that I'm lobbying for the slow food pause, you can shoot me now, right now, on these grounds. In a time like ours, when speed seems to be the only dope, when everything we do is projected around the world immediately, when we do not even have the slightest bit of time to think about before we press the button, maybe it's nice here and then to slow down for a while and breathe, maybe. We could even relax on the terrace and watch our Titanic sinking down. That's a good spectacle. Sink down in the leather chairs of our car and have a glance through the window and watch the future coming at you from behind your back. That's what the Chinese said. Fine dining restaurants are dying slowly. Newspapers are closing. Guides, restaurant guides, are left strictly with no readers. Food critics seems to be on the dole, and that's just right. Fuck the food critics. Thank you. And then social networks are taking over. We have never been more social, and nobody has ever been more alone than now. It's a good time to take a seat for the last picture show. But if we do not want to be just simple spectators, we need to change our stance, our point of view. In a certain way, we should cook like we think or like we should think. We should do some kind of sustainable cooking as much as we should do some sustainable thinking. Let's cook, let's think with guts and with soul. And we should take a step back and watch ourselves from a little distance. Just let it go, just for a while. We should do what we do, thinking, trying to find out why we do it, for who we do it. We shouldn't just think about ourselves. We shouldn't just seize the instant, the moment, the present moment. The present moment just wants us to speed up, to speed all the time, and to react to the speed, to the present time. We should cook, we should do everything we do thinking about our legacy. We should think how to leave something to others, something that could be meaningful, something that could be useful, something that could be used by generations still to come, some that could have a kind of a magnetic power, something that goes beyond the contingencies of the present. Let's make an example. We all do menus that follow the seasons. We all cook seasonal, and that's fine. That's even more than fine. Living with its time, listening to the sound of the veggies growing on the ground, questioning their nature through pots and pans. And we leave a snapshot of what we think they are and what we think we are. But let's be in the present with a foot, and also, well, let's be in the present, but also with a foot in the future. Let's conceive something not just for the here now, but also for years, decades to come. Something that doesn't just need to breathe the air of the present, that doesn't want to fit just with the present, but wants to dream the shape of things to come. Let's imagine for a second, we are Charlton Heston at the end of the Planets of the Apes and discovering the Statue of Liberty. We found our world completely destroyed, completely changed. We found ourselves in a completely strange position. And that changes everything, don't you think? When we open up a book, we ask a book to open up for us another perception. We ask a movie to let us enter another dimension. But isn't that what we aspire, to go into another dimension, to open up our perceptions when we go to a restaurant? We ask a restaurant to also nourish our mind, to experience, it seems to me, another space and time, to build up thoughts that could nourish a collective memory and whip up our appetite. I could say, let's ferment our thoughts for the future, like the guys from the Nordic Food Lab ferment their beans, and see how they react, how the future interact. And what if being avant-garde was not simply being ahead of time? What if being avant-garde was finding a space beyond time? Acting, cooking, thinking, not just for the present, but already in another time. A food that could be read, that could reveal its meanings also 15, 20, 25 years from now. A dish, let's imagine a dish that could tell us in decades to come how we were, what we thought, what we have been fighting for and longing for. I think that we need to escape, to say goodbye to the constraints of time. We need to say goodbye to the personal egos. Goodbye to the easy daily routines. We need to say goodbye to what is just meaningful for today, to what is just meaningful for the present time. Let's think everything we do write a story, cook a dish, make a movie, make a wine, like it was a message, it is a mean, a symbolic legacy, a symbolic heritage for the generations to come. Picture this, and this is really amazing. Kind of 20 years ago, a bunch of searchers, of scientists, of architects, of thinkers, a group of philosophers, of artists and musicians started a fantastic project. And when I say artists and musicians, do you know the musician, the British musician, Brian Eno? You know it. You know Brian Eno, right? He is part of this project. This project is based in San Francisco, and it has started working on a project of a very, very slow clock. A clock whose mechanism would move, would click, say, every 2 years. A click every 20 years, every 50 years. A clock that would ring, bong, bong, every 100 years. Think a big band that would salute every new century, and that's all. That would ring every 100 years. This symbolic big band, which is already in construction, we could find it still working and clicking at a time when we will be already gone. It's a symbol, of course. It's the symbol of the survivors, whatever, of the nuclear war, a symbol of a new age. It's a symbol of a legacy of what we were, or what we aspired, or what we hoped. A symbol of a better world. And I like the idea of this very, very, very slow clock. It's a mechanism. This clock is a mechanism that would encourage a long vision, a vision opened to the future, as opposed to a short vision, a short-sighted vision, which is the vision of just the present day. This clock is called the clock of the long now. And the association, this foundation is called the Long Now Foundation. And you can find it on the internet, thelongnowfoundation.com. The goal of this foundation, it seems to me, is to rethink time and responsibility, is to think in a long term, instinctively, to think how to better understand the necessity of the long-term responsibility, to define a wider operation scope of the notion of responsibilities. When you do not think short-term just for yourself, when you do not cook just short-term for the now, for the menu, for the clients, for the seasonal menu, when you do not cook just for yourself, when you don't cook just for your present ego, you don't cook for the present day. You could cook for generations to come. You could cook thinking of a future community. You could cook for your sons and your sons' sons. You mean to do something still meaningful, that will have still some meaning in generation to come. This Long Now Foundation is an educational frame of mind to experience, to imagine a time past our present time. The long now, it rings, it runs. Just the sounds, it evokes another space and time. Now we deal just with the daily service, the deadline to respect, the article to send, the book to finish, the immediate selfish desire, and the immediate need. The long now extends itself into time, a space where past and future meet, where past becomes the future, and the future fully acknowledges its appetite for memory. And believe me, I want my appetite back. I want my memory back. Once in a while, I do my ritual coming out. Last January, for example, in Paris, I did my 2012 coming out. I said out proudly and loudly, I love Daniel Patterson. He's the only guy who can cook, for me, with the same form of poetry, of elliptical poetry, as, say, Gus Van Sant, the film director, when he shoots a movie, say, Restless. And if you do your coming out once, you can do it twice. So here it is, another true story, the final story, just for you. Since my early teens, when Patti Smith, the guitar, the singer, was wishing to sound like a real fucking rock and roll nigger, me, since I was a kid, I always wished to be Jewish. That was really my dream, to be as Jew as Kafka, as Hannah Arendt, as Susan Sontag, as Lenny Bruce, to be a Jew like the young Roman Polanski, or like Darren Aronofsky or Philip Roth. And 20 years later, poor Philip Roth, he hasn't got the Nobel Prize yet. And of course, had I been a Jew in another life, maybe one day I could have married also the beautiful Anna Polonsky. I love the Jews because they certainly know a lot of, much more than us, they know a lot about legacy. They know a lot about memory, about heritage. And in their own way, in a very strange way, they truly believe, in a strange way, that future lies somewhere in the past. Their culture is very often geographically determined, but still it moves in uncharted territories, at least for us, for me. And they have this gift, and I really loved it, because they know how to separate what is relevant, what is meaningful, from what is not. They can separate what is useful just for today and what is maybe much more useful for later, what is for nobler purposes useful for the whole community. They think a lot about their community, and we do not. When they play, when they speak, they might speak at the single person, like I, you, first single person, but in their words, in their music, in their writings, there is always the shape of a plurality, of a community, of a collective identity. And they certainly know how to mourn, how to long for what is lost. Memory, for example. They know how to depart, how to turn their back to the gimmicky mermaids of the present. They definitely know how to say goodbye. And we too, we should say goodbye and move forward somewhere else. We should all say goodbye to present time and invent altogether a kind of a new one. So, here is my last tip for you. I want to introduce you to my favorite Jewish band. They might sound a little bit Mennonitish, a little bit Mormonish, but they truly come from Israel. This band is called Winter Family, and this song is like a mantra, like a Jewish mantra, if that can exist. A mantra that can teach us how to say goodbye, and to tell in just 4 minutes a long goodbye to the whole story of our past and future lives. A 4 minutes mantra that I dedicate to the long now. Can we have the video? The Winter Family? Great.
I look at her, shedding tears, water flowing from her eyes, her body still dripping milk, from the heart to the earth, down, stretches her arms tonight up high, goodbye, goodbye. Almost lived, but then died. Little fish swam in her stomach, little cat slept in her arms, little star shines in her sky without ever being a little child. I look at her shedding tears, water flowing from her eyes, her body still dripping milk. From the heart to the earth, down stretches her arms. Goodbye, goodbye, almost leave, but then die. Why, look at this young man, extinguished eyes, unaccomplished smile. Let the light be born in you. Follow your little star. Stretch your arms up high. Goodbye, goodbye. Almost leave, but then die. Look at this little girl, smile filled with diamonds, laugh filled with bells, playing with her star brother secretly. Stretch your little arms tonight, bye-bye, goodbye, goodbye. Almost leave, but then died. There they go, walk this land, follow a little star that shines just for them. Stretch your arms tonight up high. Goodbye, goodbye. There they go, walk this land, follow a little star that shines just for them. Stretch your arms up high. Goodbye, goodbye. There they go, walk this land, follow a little star that shines just for them. Stretch your arms up high. Goodbye, goodbye. There they go, walk this land, follow a little star that shines just for them. Stretch your arms up high tonight. Goodbye, goodbye. There they go, walk this land, follow a little star that shines just for them. Stretch your arms up high. Goodbye, goodbye. There they go, walk this land, follow a little star that shines just for them. Stretch your arms up high. Goodbye, goodbye. They go, walk this land, follow a little star that shines just for them. Stretch your arms up high. Goodbye, goodbye. There they go, walk this land, follow a little star that shines just for them. Stretch your arms. Goodbye, goodbye.
So, don't you think it's time we try to learn how to say goodbye? So, at least, ladies and gentlemen, here is mine. Goodbye.